Let's get into chapter 9 of the leadership space. This is one of my favorite chapters. I mean, come on, let's be honest. I really genuinely love all of them, but this chapter has a special magic to it because it's about contribution consciousness. The chapter is called Be for Others. And it's really powerful. It's powerful because when we step outside of ourselves, we actually gain a whole new level of power. I want to call it like a quantum leap in power. And I'll give you a story, right? Be for others, living for someone beside yourself, you gain power. So take for example, let me just give you a story. Take for example, imagine that you are standing outside of a burning building. All right, and the flames are high and it's hot and you can feel it. Like if you get too close, your skin's about to melt. You're like, I got to get the hell away from here. Like everything in you is saying, do not go into that building. Like your whole being is saying, stay away from there. It's dangerous, okay? You can't get in there. It's going to kill you. There's no way. But watch, change it up just a hair. Your kid's in there. Your sister, your mother, your friend, your loved one is in the building. Like in a second, your guts are saying, get in there, save them. Like you wouldn't even think about it. You'd be running into the building before your brain could even say no. Your body said yes. Because your kid is in there. Your wife is in there. Your husband, your loved one's in there. So the love of the other overcame your ego's need of self-preservation. You actually risked your life for them. You gained a whole quantum leap of power because you were being for others, and it was completely natural. I think we can all relate with that story, the burning building story. So at a visceral level, you can see that when you be for others, when you put your attention on others, when you live for others, it gets you out of your limitation of yourself and gives you a deeper, greater power. And that's the whole concept of chapter 9 of the leadership space, Be for Others. So now with that, that's a pretty intense story. Let's dig into a little bit more detail here, okay? So what we're fundamentally talking about is this concept, which I've called several times in the book, right? Contribution consciousness. Remember, that's the third C of the 3 C's. And that's all back in chapter 2. The 3 C's are choice, context, contribution. Choice, context, contribution. I have the choice to be who I want to be in the face of circumstances. I can choose the mindset I bring. I can be the hero mindset or the victim mindset. I can be the positive mindset or the negative mindset. I can be solution oriented or I can be problem oriented, right? And that's a choice that I can make. Now, sometimes it's difficult to make that choice, so I can go a deeper gear. It's like gearing down, to move matter more powerfully. Well, I can shift into the second C, context. Remember, context is the frame that you put around an event, and the way that you look at the event or frame it gives you how you see it and how you feel about it. So by shifting the frame, you're actually able to shift your physiological emotional response, which can elevate your power. And you remember in that chapter, I talked about the 3 bricklayers and a couple other stories, and you can check here on YouTube for the chapter 2 video and dig into that. So context is very powerful to reframe the way you see the world. Now, here's what's interesting. In my experience, one of the most powerful contexts you can take on in life is the context of contribution. So back to the burning building. When you look at the burning building from your own point of view, the context is, that's very dangerous. I'm not going in there. I'm not going to die. But if you change the frame, you change the way you're looking at it, it changes the meaning. Well, the context is different. My loved one's in there. I have to go in there. Period. Done. Contribution context. Okay? So contribution is a way of seeing the world, but it's a very powerful way of seeing the world. And so you've learned a bit about contribution as a context. I want to now completely illuminate the concept of contribution consciousness. Okay? Contribution consciousness. And you might also call it like contribution mindset, right? Like I've had students and people give me some feedback. They're like, well, the consciousness thing's a little bit out there. Mindset's a little more concrete. So if that is a little easier for you to, digest or focus in on, then you can say mindset. But let me tell you why I use the word consciousness, because for me, it really resonates, right? So your state of consciousness is a powerful tool. the whole concept I'm sharing with you is that your state of consciousness, your state of being, who you're being, resonates out to other people, to your team, to the people that you're wanting to influence in all of your communication, in all of your relationships, in all of your creating, trust building, and all of your effort to create accountability on the team. There's a resonance that's happening with others that's flowing from you. It's flowing from your state of consciousness, the being that you are, the resonance that you are. So when I say contribution consciousness, I'm literally saying that you're using the tool of being for others to elevate your vibration as a being, as a power, as an influence, okay? So what does this mean, contribution consciousness? And I've defined it this way. Contribution consciousness is about moving from ego, me, to others, you, right? And it's simple. When I take my attention from how's this affecting me to how's it affecting you, I shift from being about myself, selfish, to being about service, others. And what happens is, again, I get power to be of service. I get power to make a difference. And it elevates me, it elevates others. So let me give you a couple other stories to kind of generate this for you, because this to me really changed my life, and I've seen it shift the lives of others. As a matter of fact, I have a dear friend who I've been friends with for a very long time. He's a business owner, and so let me just tell you the story because it's in the chapter. So he came to me one time before I ever finished the book, and I had shared with him, we were just talking about some things, and he was saying, I've been running this business. I inherited it from my dad, and it's this incredible business called Angelucci Jewelry, by the way. You can check them out. And their heritage goes all the way back to Italy, into this little town. I think it's called, and I forget what it's called, but this little tiny town in Italy that his grandfather had this store in. And so he inherited this store and this legacy around being a jeweler and having all this knowledge. And he says, I like the jewelry business, but I'm just not getting enough customers. My father was so good at getting customers. I just have to get more customers, and I don't know what it is I got to do to get more customers. And I said, are you open to some coaching? And he says, yeah, sure. And I said, just think about how you're thinking about your customers, right? And he goes, well, what do you mean? I go, well, you keep saying I need to get more customers, right? So you're kind of focused on yourself and what's not happening that you want to happen, but there's no power in the energy that you're putting out to others because it's all about you. I go, what if you were to shift your mindset, shift your state of consciousness from, it's not that I got to get customers, it's that how could I be of service to other people? Like, how could I actually be a contribution to the people around me and have that be the literal goal of every interaction? And he goes, you know what? That's really interesting. And he started thinking about it, and he had an epiphany, and he shared it with me, and he said, dude, that shifted my mindset so much. It was almost like my brain was a watch with the gears that just pulled apart, reorganized, put back together, and boom, completely changed his outlook on his business. And it shifted everything he was doing. And it was a very powerful experience. He had a lot of success doing that and shifting that. And so the power of shifting from ego to others changes the way you put energy in the world. It changes the way that you're able to put power in the world. And that's why it's such a deep power tool, an inner power tool. So let me give you another story, right? The power of contribution, be for others. So I like to watch these shows on Bravo. I don't know if it's still there, but it used to be called $1 Million Listing, I think. And it's about these like super high-end realtors, these super powerful realtors, who make tons of money selling high-end real estate. This was in New York City, I think. There's shows in Los Angeles and different places. But anyway, I'll never forget there was this one guy who was one of these high-end realtors, and he had, they all have big teams, and they're all like basically natural-born leaders in my estimation. They're really good with their team. And I noticed that his new teammate had never taken on a listing of her own. She was kind of an apprentice. And so he said, you know what? Instead of me giving you the guidance again and again and again, I'm just going to let you go for it on this one. And he just let her go for it. He believed in her. He had given her training. He had given her assistance. He had given her support. He says, I believe in you. I'm going to let you do it. And then, so his assistant puts on an open house and has a showing at this really high-end apartment, and everybody's circulating and eating hors d'oeuvres and blah, blah, blah. And so this guy, though, shows up with a mask on, with what am I trying to say? He shows up with a disguise. And so he's watching her, but he's not critiquing her. He's just watching and watching her develop confidence. And at the end of the episode there, he actually pulls the mask off and reveals himself. And she's like, whoa, I didn't even know you were here. And he just said, look, you did a great job. Your rapport building was good. The way you were communicating with people was good. The way you set it up was great. And so what he did was he actually developed a deep experience of confidence for his teammate, not because he was forcing her to do anything, but because he let her go to do it. He believed in her. He put his attention on not what he needed to get. I need her to sell, but what does she need from me? She needs the freedom to try. She needs the belief that I believe she can. And by shifting from what he needed as a leader to what she needed as a teammate, he was able to empower her and be much more effective in his role as a leader. And so I don't want the video to go too long. I think I've captured the gist of it, the essence. Contribution consciousness is fundamentally about, look, how can I be of service to you? Not what do I need from you as my teammate, but what do you need from me as your leader? And when I move my mindset from me to you, it opens up the power of contribution. It opens up the power of action, new energy, new ideas, new opportunity, new possibility. And it's an incredibly powerful place to stand, an incredible, powerful place to be. I highly recommend take that on in your leadership.